Well, it's my first day on the Trans-Ecuador mountain biking route, and kind of love it. I'm away from the highway for the first time in a long time. I'm way up high. The road is a little rough, but it's fun. It's fun. It's a good challenge. Nothing too hard quite yet.
On my grind, it's all of the time cranking. Day and night, we on the road cranking. From Alaska to Argentina, and every place in between them, I'm cranking it. Yeah, it is, it's cranking it. Welcome to cranking it. Yeah, we cranking it. Welcome to cranking it. Yeah, we cranking it.
The Trans-Ecuador route follows a variety of roads, everything from cobbled rural lanes, tiny overgrown single track, and even some small highways. The route starts with a long descent, from a high point at around 11,000 feet, all the way down to the bottom of a valley at around 3,000. It makes its way through villages and down to an old railroad beside a river. The long descent was followed by a massive climb. I made my way back up to elevation, climbing about 10,000 feet over the course of 2 days.
It's pretty steep up here. Not a whole lot of air. I think the altitude's starting to get to me a little bit. Starting to feel a little woozy. I've done 23 kilometers. Probably find a place to camp here soon. Might be a cold night, but it's exciting. I'm glad to be here. So it looks like I just broke my shifter cable for my rear derailleur. I'm pretty close to where I'm planning on camping. So I guess I'll just ride down this hill and camp, and then, well, I've got a repair project for tonight.
Fortunately, I always carry 2 spare shift cables, which is important because the first one I tried had frayed and wouldn't thread the cable housing.
Okay, cable's on. So, crank another day.
With the shift cable repaired, I was able to head out the next day and ride by the dormant volcano Cotocachi before descending down into the Central Valley. The next day, I started my climb up to the Lagunas de Mojanda. I was a little nervous riding through this area because last year a group of cyclists who were camping here were robbed. Fortunately, I wasn't planning on camping there. Plus, it was the weekend, so there were plenty of other tourists around. It turned out to be worth it. After leaving the lake behind, I climbed rough roads back up to 12,500 feet before riding all the way back down to Quito. I spent a few days in the capital, editing episode 11 and waiting to meet my friend Nathan. He had flown in from Seattle to join me for about a week of riding along the Tres Volcanes route, which passes through some of Ecuador's most iconic scenery.
Hey, what's up? So Another issue with the bike. It's a new issue, but it's actually an old issue. Once again, it seems my frame has cracked in the exact same spot. Honestly, pretty frustrating. Now it looks like I'll probably have to find another welder. I'm out here with Nathan. I feel pretty bad because he came all this way to ride with me, and I might have to go back to Quito. We'll see if there's a welder in the next town. It's not completely cracked. There's still like an inch or something of metal holding it together. It sounds pretty bad. Let me show you. It doesn't look like much because it hasn't quite separated yet, but it's definitely a crack. So just another issue to deal with on the bike. I just wish I could fix it and then it would be fixed. Does this happen to anybody else? Does anybody else repeatedly crack their frame in the same spot? Leave a comment below. Alright, so it's the next morning and there's a welder here, I think, but I don't think he's home. So we're gonna try to hitch a ride to the next town, Pintag, and see if we can find somebody there.
Unfortunately, that same day, Nathan's wallet fell out of his bag as we were riding. We went back to look for it, but couldn't find it.
Alright, so where are you going?
I'm going back to Quito. Lost my wallet, which had my passport in it. Gotta go to the embassy. What a headache. Won't be able to join Alex in the Highlands.
After Nathan headed back to Quito, I found a welder in town who agreed to weld the crack in my frame.
Oxyacetylene weld. Hopefully that'll hold.
After it was done, I headed back to the route to continue my ride alone.
Alright, I got my frame welded and I'm back on the road. Same road that we've ridden by about 3 or 4 times now. But the good news is that while I was riding out of Pintag, I was stopped by a couple of people in a truck who had apparently found Nathan's wallet and passport and everything. So I contacted Nathan and I guess he's going to meet me up ahead on the road. So that'll be tomorrow. Hopefully he'll be up for riding some more. Hopefully this whole experience hasn't soured him to the Ecuador divide.
The next day, I got my first clear views of Cotopaxi, as well as my first taste of the brutal headwinds. Soon, however, I made it to the lodge where Nathan was waiting for me.
Oh my god! Thank you very much for this.
The day after our tearful reunion, we headed out together, down the other side of the mountain. For the next couple days, we followed nice paved roads along valleys with stunning views of surrounding gorges and peaks. As we got higher, however, the wind picked up again, and we found ourselves battling uphill against heavy headwinds.
So how's it feel?
Once we finally reached the top, we were rewarded with amazing views of Lake Kilauea, a massive caldera on top of another volcano.
So today Nathan wasn't feeling so good, so he decided to take a rest day and basically catch a transport up to the next town where we're staying. So I'm gonna meet him there. Hopefully he feels better soon. I also did take advantage of the situation, and I sent him with one of my bags, the laptop. So riding a little lighter today. I don't think that's cheating. That's not cheating, right?
After riding a bit more pavement, the road turned to gravel, and I started making my way into the remote, rural backcountry. No matter how rural the Ecuador divide gets, there are always people living nearby, and where there's people, there's ice cream.
¿Cuánto cuesta?
25 centavos. Gracias.
Gracias.
Yeah, not bad. Well, it's pretty windy. Nathan got a ride ahead again up this hill, and I can't say I blame him. Riding into the headwind is tough. Riding up a steep hill is tough. But when you're riding up a steep hill into the headwind, well, it's really tough. This elevation, though, it's hard to breathe, so all those things combined, it's not an easy ride. But I'm just grateful that I'm not in the heat anymore. Glad to be out of the heat.
This was one of the harder days of the ride so far. The wind was relentless, and the road surface was often loose and rocky.
So, how's it going?
Good. Better than expected.
Yeah. How's the wind? What's the wind like? Can you describe the wind?
The wind is crazy. Let's see. It's been crazy for 2 days now. When you're going downhill and it's a headwind, it's like hard to go downhill. When you're going upwind and it's a tailwind, you barely have to pedal.
Yeah.
There was a gust of wind like half an hour ago that blew over a dog that was walking by us. Yeah, and we're seeing like local farmers just like herding their animals, and everybody's struggling in the wind.
Yeah.
But I think we're making good time today.
Yeah, so where are we headed?
Chimborazo!
All right, yeah. Highest mountain in Ecuador.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be a lot of climbing, but
I think
should be doable.
halfway done with the climbing. Just say yes.
Maybe, yeah.
We're almost there.
We're almost there. It's just around the corner.
Riding together once again, we started a long climb to Chimborazo. As we climbed higher, the views became amazing. We were high enough we could gaze down on a sea of clouds that filled the valleys all the way down to the coast. After another long, windy climb, we crested a ridge and got our first view of Chimborazo. At about 20,500 feet, Chimborazo is the highest peak in Ecuador, and also, due to its location on the equatorial bulge, it is the point that is farthest away from the center of the Earth. Even just riding along the base of the volcano put us at a staggering 14,500 feet of elevation, higher than Mount Rainier, the tallest mountain in the Pacific Northwest.
What do you think?
The next day, we descended back down to the Central Valley, where Nathan and I parted ways.
How'd you like the trip?
Oh, it was amazing. I can't even describe. Very difficult. Feel like I'm on another planet. Awesome to see Alex. So many words. Yeah, and this is where I ride off into the sunset. I hope silver.
Well, Nathan's gone. He's headed back to Quito. Gonna do a little jungle tour and then head home. It's really great having him on the ride here for a little bit. You know, I really love showing people what bicycle touring is really like. There's so much beauty and adventure and struggle and so much to learn about countries that you might not otherwise think to visit. That's kind of why I do these videos, just to show off what it's like. It can be hard at times, but there's just so much beauty and the difficulty really makes you appreciate, I think, the majesty that's just everywhere. Now I'm alone again, at least for the next 3 days or so, and then my dad is joining me again. Now there's somebody who really gets it. He'll be joining me in a little town along the route, and riding with me until Cuenca. Looking forward to riding with him again. Visiting Cuenca, and then I'll mostly be done with Ecuador. It's a pretty small country. It's just jam-packed with amazing beauty and long, tough climbs. Today's a bit darker, a bit colder. Climbing back up into the Paramo. I think this will be the last time though, based on the map, that I'll be at this elevation, at least in Ecuador. Another news, I'm also not feeling too good. Seem to have a toothache. To a village or something. Maybe there's a communal building that I could use. But it's pretty desolate up here. Haven't seen anybody in a long time. Well, it looks like I've got stuck in mud again. Didn't really expect to see mud up here. It's definitely sticking to the tires again, which means it's getting clogged up in the fenders. So that means I'm walking and trying to push through some of this mud. I'd like to get to lower elevation before camping because it's kind of cold up here. But, that'll only be possible if the mud clears up. So. Here's hoping. Alright, so last night I got into this village and just as I was hoping, there's a nice center covered sports area, a little church that I was able to camp next to. So yeah, all good on that front. Unfortunately, my toothache has gotten worse, and so that's something that's I'm gonna need to address, I think. So basically the plan is to ride another day today, get back to the highway, and then basically just catch a ride to Cuenca, where there's some specialists there. It sucks to be missing part of the Ecuador divide by taking a bus or whatever, but it'll be mostly along the highway anyway, so I think I've done most of the best parts of the route, so yeah.
After cleaning most of the mud off my bike, I headed on. It was another tough day, so I was pretty happy to finally arrive at the village where my dad was waiting for me. We quickly descended down to the highway and caught a bus to Cuenca. At my dentist appointment, I learned I would have to stick around for about another 2 weeks for a retreatment of an infected root canal. But there are certainly worse places to spend time. Cuenca is a really nice city, with a beautiful old colonial center. We spent the time relaxing, going on bus tours, and even visiting a nearby Incan ruin site. As soon as my tooth is fully healed, I'll be continuing south through the Andes, through the rest of Ecuador and into Peru. I expect the mountains to get higher and the roads to become more remote.
Well, there you go, the Ecuador Divide. Such a beautiful route, difficult, but I think it was worth it in the end. Highly recommend it to anybody who's riding in the area. Of course, it does continue a little bit farther beyond Cuenca, but I think at this point, I'm probably just gonna have to get back on the highway, try to make up for some lost time. You know, I didn't really expect to have to spend a couple weeks here in Cuenca. A couple weeks might not sound like that much, but I mean, it only took me about 3 weeks to get through the entirety of Colombia, so it is a significant setback. I'm gonna have to make up for lost time by probably riding more pavement than I was planning, but hopefully I can still make it down to Ushuaia in time. If you want to see if I do or not, then stay tuned. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon, and especially my Crank Tier supporters: Dan Phillips, Graham Barron Mickle, Kate and Mike Glasser, Jane Hilton, Koji Kojima, Michael Barker, Marion Hinman, D. Axelrod, and Ed and Holly. If you'd like to help support the channel, please remember to hit the like and subscribe buttons. This helps grow the channel. Also, leaving a comment helps a lot too. So, thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one.